Parents at a New York City preschool are demanding answers after a substitute teacher who is transgender read a book about trans inclusivity to a class of 3- and 4-year-olds. The book reads in part, quote, "You may feel like both a boy or a girl, or like neither. You may feel like your gender changes from day to day or from year to year." This, as a new poll from Parents Defending Education found 74% of parents oppose gender ideologies being taught in elementary school, and 75% oppose school staff withholding their child's gender identity from their parents. Nicole Neily is the founder of Parents Defending Education, and she joins me now. Nikki, good morning to you. I mean, you can't get 75% of people to agree on what day of the week it is, but they do agree on this topic. But here we go again. A book about trans inclusivity read to 3- and 4-year-olds. And the only reason parents knew about it is because these kids came home with questions. So what do you think about all of this?
I mean, sadly, this is the kind of thing we have been seeing for the past 4 years from coast to coast, because these activists are determined to get their hands on our children and separate them from their parents. It's twisted, but it's really the reason why the price of liberty is eternal vigilance, and parents really need to be aware of what is happening in their schools. It's not safe to just drop your kids off and assume that they're going to learn the reading, writing, and arithmetic of, that we used to grow up with.
Which is so unfortunate. So when it comes to this particular case, New York City Public Schools put out this statement saying, New York City Public Schools greatly value the use of age-appropriate, diverse, and inclusive educational materials. We are currently engaging with this specific program to understand how the material was introduced and whether it adheres to the recommended guidelines. So you can kind of read between the lines there and see where they stand. So it begs the question, Nikki, what is a parent to do here? I mean, if you have a child and a school, you find out that they're doing something like this, is there a way to fight back?
Sure. I mean, we always tell people engage, talk to the teacher. If you don't get an answer you like, go to the principal, go to the school board, go to the superintendent, work your way up. But in places like New York City, they're absolutely unrepentant about the ideology they're pushing on kids. And I think that's why we've seen over the past several years a turn toward families that have chosen to go to private school, to homeschool. And what's sad about that is, I mean, certainly my family homeschools, lots of families have made this choice. Not everybody is able to either find a school to put their child into or has the means to do so. And so that's why I'm so excited to see President Trump coming in with Linda McMahon. They have committed to school choice and to making choices like this more affordable, because what is being done to our children with our tax dollars behind our backs to our babies is appalling. And it's little wonder that people have lost faith in the education system.
Well, let's pick up right there, because a new report from your group found that the Biden administration has spent over $32 million on DEI grants to individual schools. So what are some examples of how this money was used?
Sure. So this was actually part of a $100 million package that we identified through the Department of Justice that went out in stop grants. Stop grants were supposed to stop school safety. And so what DEI has to do with school safety, I mean, I'm puzzled totally. But we have seen programs where they had schools that were doing yoga, knitting circles to try and, address anti-racism type things. This is not keeping kids safe. It is not helping kids learn. And this is one of the reasons with the Biden administration giving out grants like this that we're not facing record inflation, because they were acting like they could print money. Meanwhile, American taxpayers are not able to afford basic things like eggs and milk.
Yeah, the intersection of DOGE and this topic, solid use of our hard-earned taxpayer dollars, yoga and knitting. Okay, so Yale is making headlines this morning because they have a course that examines whether white women and black women can be friends. And the course description reads, quote, "We are interested in exploring if relationships between black women and white women can develop on equal footing. Can they be built upon hard emotional labor, trust, and risky and rare as it may seem love? Are these relationships even possible?" I mean, I think most people would hear that, Nikki, and say that you couldn't get any more divisive than that. And to add on to that, students that take this class are guaranteed a grade of a B+. And if they meet the class requirements, regardless of their grade on individual assessments. And this is seen as an actively anti-racist approach to teaching. I mean, this is what our most esteemed elite universities have become.
Yeah, I mean, this is peak woke. I think we've like hit bingo at this point. But again, you think about how expensive Yale is, the esteem in which that college was held. And I mean, I'm not surprised to see federal judges now saying, I don't want to hire people who have gone through these schools because they're coming out absolutely crazy. As you said, this is divisive. And if your class would frankly pass muster with the KKK, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about the amount of money that families are saving, the loans that students are taking out to pay for courses like this. Will this help them thrive in an interconnected society? Absolutely not. It's going to keep them, it's going to teach students to mistrust their peers. I don't want to hire people who have gone through something like this, who believe and adhere to ideologies like this. I want to hire people who know how to get along with coworkers. I want my children to date and marry people who have good interpersonal relationships. And it's not going to come out of a class like this.
Well, great points there. Nikki, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great morning.